Y'all know what's going on. It's time for another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and welcome to the show, y'all. Today we have a very special show that we're going to do. I got my friend Michael on here, and we're going to do a show about, well, I'm going to let him tell you what this show is going to be about. And I really think that this is one of those types of shows where you might need to get your tissues ready or something like that, because we're going to go a little deeper than telling a story about being in prison. You know what I'm saying? But, and the crime and stuff that happens in here and the dehumanization. This is a story that I think that every human being will be able to relate to, because it's dealing with the death of someone that you hold dear to your heart. And Michael, I want you to do the honors of laying the foundation about this show and telling people just a little bit about yourself before we get started and why this is so important to you.
All right. This is Letter to Mom Part 3. It's the third year anniversary of my mom's passing, and we've been doing it every year. And I feel that from what Jesus said, that we should memorialize his death. So I think that we should honor, and honor your mother and father. This is honoring my mom. So
okay,
this is why we do this every year.
Okay. Do you want to tell everybody what happened, how your mother passed, and the things that you had to go through during that time?
Well,
first of all, let me ask you this: how long have you been locked up?
This is my 29th year.
And how long had you been separated from your mom because of your incarceration?
When COVID hit, I hadn't seen her in 2 years before she passed.
How close were you and your mom?
Very close. I was the youngest.
You were the baby?
Yeah. So she came every week. She came out every week, despite me saying I don't want to go to visit. She came. She came every week.
And would it be safe to say that she was the most dependable or reliable person during your incarceration?
Most definitely. That's why I called her. I called her my champion. I never missed anything. Like when my granddad passed, when anybody passed, she sent me all the obituary. So I have all those, from family members and things. And anytime I needed something, she was on it. Anytime I needed her to straighten the situation out with these people here, she was on it. Books, things.
Yeah, that's what I remember most about your mom. She used to send those books to read, and you would let me read them and stuff like that. And I found that to be, encouraging and whatnot. That she was more concerned about, you still being able to broaden your horizons mentally through reading and stuff like that. Okay, but let me ask you this, man. So you've been in here 20 plus years, 25 plus years.
Almost 30.
Yeah, almost 30 years. And close relationship with your mom. Then your mom passes away. What was the cause of your mom's death, if you don't mind?
Well, there's it's a rarely known disorder called amyloidosis.
Okay.
And I didn't find out until after my mom passed that that's what my grandmother passed from. Same way. And the terribly ironic thing is that they both passed away a month before their 74th birthday. So it was kind of weird. But we didn't really know much about it. She had lost her voice maybe a year before she died. She couldn't really talk much, and the doctors kept telling her that it was sinus drain, it was a cold, it was this, it was that, but never the root cause. And then when she found out about a treatment or whatever at Vanderbilt, they wouldn't accept her insurance. So after she had already went to the ICU, Vanderbilt said, "Okay, we'll accept your insurance, but it's on an outpatient basis." By this time, she's already in the ICU, so it can't be on the outside, So, and she had to have a trach put in, and from what I understand, there was a mishap with the trach or something. She was bleeding, and passed like that.
Okay. Let me ask you this. I know you said a few things about, your mom and how she was your champion, but you didn't go into detail. Tell us like who she was. You know what I'm saying? What was so special about her to you?
I guess she was mom and dad. It was just her until my stepdad came along, but it was just her.
Right.
So she worked hard for us, my brother and sister and I. And before we moved down here, she spent maybe a year, if not longer, driving down here to start her company. So she'd drive down here and come back home on the weekends.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty good round trip,
What kind of company she had?
Courier service. She started a courier service. We moved down here for that. Hard working, passionate about the business. That's what I remember the most about my mom. Is hard working. I always, being growing up at the time, I looked at it as she was always late. She had volunteered to take the football team my 8th grade year to an away game because in middle school they didn't use the buses, so the parents had to.
Right.
But she had a 15-passenger van and everything, so she's like, "Well, I'll take some of the people." We sat after school waiting for her for a good hour, waiting to go, and then she finally came.
Right.
And by the time we got there, they were about ready to forfeit the game because the whole starting offense was with me.
What did she say?
Nothing.
Ain't nothing wrong with it.
I'm here.
Dig that. I know that you've had another death in the family. Do you want to talk about that just a little bit?
Yeah. My oldest niece passed last year of a apparent drug overdose.
Yeah.
Evidently, there must have been some fentanyl in the pill or something she took, and not knowing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that was she was the oldest. She was the only one that I was around when I was out. All my other nieces and nephews weren't born or even thought of before I got locked up. But she was there. She was like 6 when I got locked up, and I used to call her my little buddy.
What was y'all relationship like while you been locked up?
I guess we could relate to each other the most because she was troubled, and I was troubled growing up, but had everything I wanted. She had everything she wanted and needed, but still just.
Did she have an addiction problem or something? Or just?
I'm not.
You're not sure.
I'm not 100% sure
with it.
From what I understood, in this instance, she just wanted to relax. It was just, it wasn't anything intentional or anything like that because she just got her hair and nails done. She was going out, so it was just an unfortunate.
Yeah, it's tough like that out there. So let me get to the broader issue. That I wanted to talk to you about with this because I've been through similar situations. My grandparents passing and different family members passing away and all this and that. Right. My question to you, after 3 years, do you think that you've had the opportunity to properly grieve, if it is such a thing as properly grieving? Do you think that you've been able to do that? And if it's yes, tell us that process, what that looks like. If it's no, would you mind explaining why you think that is?
I don't really know that. I guess I don't know what proper grief is. Because
being able to grieve the circumstance. Well, for me, and I don't want to sound all mushy, but for me, when my grandmother passed, both my grandparents have passed away. My dad has passed away. Different people in my family have passed away. And I was reluctant to just let it all out, cry, yell, whatever. I was reluctant to do that because I didn't think that I had a safe place or space to do that. I would cry in the shower. And then, intentionally, put soap in my eyes so when I come out of the shower, somebody asks why my eyes red, I didn't have to lie.
Yeah.
You see, I got soap in my eyes because people are nosy in here. So I would put the soap in my eyes so I could say, man, I got soap in my eyes, as opposed to saying, man, I've been crying. You feel me?
Yeah.
And they probably knew what I was doing, but that was what my process looked like. I just never felt that I could just really get it all out, and I think that has affected me in some kind of way. I was just wondering if you felt that you could let it all out. You know what I'm saying? With what, you know, you felt about not being there, not being able to comfort in the way that you would if you were there, and all of those different types of things. Did you feel any guilt about not being there?
Oh,
those types of things.
Of course, I felt guilt for not being there because my sister had to do it alone. You know, she was with my mom 24/7 when she went to the ICU. So, of course, that's there, but in my mind, I can't dwell on that. You know what I'm saying? Because it's gone. It's in the past. It's there. It happened, and I'm a firm believer that those who live in the past are doomed to repeat it. So I don't have any plans on repeating that situation again. I pray to God that no one else passes while I'm in here, so I can be there for people. But as far as the crying, you know, we sat in here and cried the first one. You know,
yeah,
so
we did.
I mean, I got it out like that. But on the other hand, it's like I didn't get to go to the memorial. I didn't get to do the burial and be there with the family and.
Because of being in prison.
Oh yeah, of course. But I did get to sit with her as she was passing. But she had already went into she didn't have brain function. So I sat there with my brother and sister. But it's not, you know, it's not the same as being free. You know.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here in cuffs and shackles and 2 armed guards and. You know, and the 2 officers that were with me, they were great. You know, they respected us and stood in the background, and they knew I wasn't going to do anything. So they, you know, that's why they were. And then when I decided to leave, they're like, "Are you sure?" I was like, "Yeah, I don't," because in my mind, I didn't want to take up all the time for the rest of the family that was standing in the hallway,
just waiting to come in.
Yeah. I was like, "No, they shouldn't. They should have their time too."
Right.
So. I mean, we sat there for a while, so it was.
Did you talk to her?
Yeah.
What did you say, if you don't mind? Do you remember?
I told her, "Don't worry about me."
Yeah. Why did you think that was important to say?
Because she had always prayed that I'd be safe, you know.
Yeah.
So I told her, "Don't worry. I'll always." I'd always do the right thing no matter who's watching.
You got it.
So.
Yeah. And you've lived up to that.
Most definitely.
Yeah, you lived up to that. Where does that strength come from?
From her, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Strong woman.
Strong woman.
Yeah.
Where does your faith come into play with that?
For me, the only reason it's not as hard is because Book of Revelation tells us that there'll be a resurrection of the righteous and the unrighteous. So we're not it's not as bad because I know I'll see her again, and the fact that we'll have eternity together. So it's not a
long game, man.
Yeah, it's not as bad.
Yeah.
So. And as I was leaving, I just told her, "Mom, I'll see you in paradise." So
there it is. How do you think? Thank you for sharing that too. But how do you think it affected your brother and sister compared to you? Because you just said your sister was there.
I think it hit her harder.
24/7.
I think it was worse on her.
Yeah.
Because she has the memories, you know, of certain things, you know, something, they're doing something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, wow, mom's not here.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, she passed a week before my sister's birthday. And then she missed my youngest nephew's graduation. She wasn't there. Of course, she wasn't there for that. So I think it hit her harder. Because for me, I don't get those things because I've been gone for so long.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've been away for so long. So it's not as. Of course, it's mom. So you'll always miss your mom, but it's just not as bad because I wasn't there every day.
Would you say it would be fair to say that emotional attachment to those situations because you're not there didn't hurt you in the same way that it might have hurt your sister?
Yeah,
your brother?
Yeah.
And I you know, when I think about my dad passing away, my grandparents, you know, I wish I would have been able to experience those moments, you know, having to help them get out of the bed, you know, whatever they needed, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That was the plan because I saw my mom, both of her parents died at home with her.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that was always what I knew to do was that mom was going to be with me.
Yeah,
so
you're going to take care of her.
Yeah.
If
So
the time called for it.
Yeah. So, and it was funny that I was there when my grandmother had passed, but I came into my mom's house one day and my grandmother was sitting in a wheelchair and she said, "I need to talk to you." I said, "Okay, what's going on?" She said, and it's just as serious as could be. She said, I need some blood. Well, I took out my coat and said, "Okay, where would we have to go? What are we doing?" She laughed. The nurse was there with her. She laughed. She said, I told you he was my favorite." She said everyone else was like, "Well, I don't know." She said, "I told you."
Yeah, no doubt. Well, do you think that, because I've heard situations like this from others, not in my family, but I've heard other people talk about this. Do you think that there's any resentment, you know what I'm saying, with family members with you not being there, or is it just everything just worked out the way you would hope it worked out, you know, situations like that?
I don't think it's resentment because these were my choices in life, you know, so it's nothing that they did. So, of course, my sister would have loved me to have been there.
Right.
But like I said, those were my choices, so there's no resentment there.
Because you accept responsibility for your situation.
Yeah, my family's very forgiving, and it's not been no, even though I'm a black sheep, it's still not.
Well,
I've never felt
you were, you're not.
Yeah,
you were, you're not now. Absolutely not. So with that said, I want to ask you something. I don't want to get to the end and ask you this. I want to ask you this. We titled this, you know, Letter to My Mom. This is part 3. What would you want to say to her now? You know what I'm saying? 3 years later, because I believe that, you know, you may not believe, but I believe she can hear you, you know. And even if she can't, let's put that out there. What would you want to say to her now in regard to when you told her, don't worry about you, you're going to be fine? Is there anything that you may have wanted to say then that you didn't say, or something new that's come to mind that you would want to say to her in this moment?
I mean, besides what I'm, you know, my plans, she knew that I wasn't the same person, you know, that I didn't, that I wasn't gonna reoffend and I wasn't gonna do, you know, go back to their life. She knew that. I don't know. I guess I don't know. Basically, it's just that that moving forward in life, you know, it's going to be that I'll live the life that she raised me to live, you know, and
Right.
of course, I'm gonna fulfill her dream for the trucking. So you know, so it wasn't lost. Those lessons weren't lost.
It wasn't lost. Yeah, everything that she taught you, you're gonna do those types of things.
Yeah.
I did that. Well, man, I want to thank you for doing this. You know, it's my honor every year. You know what I mean? and to do this. And I wish that, more people would be open and as honest as you are about, memorializing, remembering, honoring, a family member that has passed away like you are. Because you came to me, don't forget we got to do this. You know what I'm saying? Gotcha. You know what I mean? But it's that having that awareness of, somebody that you love, even though they've passed away, having that awareness of, I have to honor her.
Yeah.
I got to honor mom. You know what I mean? I think it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. And I think she really does get the fact that, she don't have to worry about you.
Yeah.
She don't have to worry about you. You good.
Yeah.
And gonna be good, right? And with that said, I'm gonna let you have the last say so.
Everything's gonna be all right. The as we know, we're living in the last of the last days of this wicked system of things. So trials are gonna get harder. We're gonna be put to the test a lot more. Mom, Grandma, and Heather, we're good.
We're good. We're good. This has been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and I said peace, y'all.